Hey guys, welcome back for another Epic on a Budget deck list. Today we're going to be talking about Charbelcher Combo, which basically is built around this card, Goblin Charbelcher, that essentially just wins the game in one shot as soon as you activate it if you build your deck right, which is kind of fun because basically all you have to have is no lands in your deck. So this one is a little under $20, as usual with Epic on a Budget decks. That is using TCG player prices. So when you click the link in the description below, just change that to TCG player prices if you want the a price around about that. You can also optimize printings to ensure that you're getting the best price right now. So let's jump into it. The first card we'll be talking about is Goblin Charbelcher. It costs 4 to cast, and then you have to pay 3 and tap it to activate it. When you do, you reveal cards at the top of your library until you reveal a land card. And then Goblin Charbelcher deals damage equal to the number of non-land cards revealed this way to any target. And if the revealed land card was a mountain, then it deals double that damage instead. Okay, then you put the revealed cards on the bottom of your library in any order. Okay, so basically, you activate it, you reveal cards until you hit a land card, you count the number of cards you revealed, and you deal that much damage to anything. Okay, specifically your opponent generally. I think maybe the idea was, oh, cool. Sometimes you deal 1 damage, sometimes you deal 2, sometimes you deal 5. Wow, who knows how much damage you're going to deal. But how it actually gets used is you just combo with a deck with no lands. And then you just count how many cards you have in your deck, and you deal that much damage to your opponent. Pretty straightforward. How we do that is with double-sided cards, okay, double-sided lands. So in this deck, we actually have 36 lands that are all double-sided. Okay, so on the front side, they are creatures, instants, sorceries, stuff like that. And that means that Goblin Charbelcher sees them as a non-land card and not a land card. Okay, because they aren't a land when they're in your library. Also, fun fact, 36 lands is a lot, so you generally don't run out of land drops. You also have 16 ramp cards, because 36 lands just isn't enough. And then you have tutors. So the tutor with this deck is actually really funny because it's not actually a tutor in most decks. But in this one it is. So it costs 2 and a green for sorcery. You reveal cards on the top of your library until you reveal a land card. Okay, starting to sound familiar. Put that card into play and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Then clash with an opponent. If you win, return recross the paths to its owner's hand. Okay, so then what that means is each clashing player reveals the top card of his or her library, then puts that card on the bottom, top or bottom. A player wins if his or her card had a higher converted mana cost. So basically what that means is you pay 3 mana and you stack your deck. Yep, your entire deck. Stack it however you'd like. Because there's no lands. So you put the revealed cards on the bottom in any order. So you just stack your deck. And the clause about clashing with the opponent and blah blah blah. You can just like stick a 6 mana card on top, and you'll likely just be able to put recross the paths back into your hand, so that if something messes you up, you can stack your deck again. Right? There technically are some differences in the lands that we run, and we'll get into that in a second. We'll talk about the ramp first. So basically, we are trying to get to 4 mana as quickly as possible, and ideally 7 mana would be nice. So we have Seer of the Suns, costs 2 mana, and enters tapped with 3 charge counters on it. And you can tap it and remove a charge counter from it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Pretty convenient. Solar Transformer costs 2 mana again, and it enters tapped. And when it enters, you get 3 energy counters. Okay, and so then it taps for colorless, or you can tap it and pay an energy to add 1 mana of any color. That's pretty nice. Pentad Prism costs 2, and it has Sunburst, which means it enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it, which will be just 1 or 2. And then you can remove a charge counter from it to add 1 mana of any color, which is one thing that's kind of nice about that is that you can, pay red and green to cast it, and then it'll enter with 2 charge counters on it, and you can pull both charge counters off in the same turn to get 2 mana from it at once. So this does enable a slightly faster combo. Okay, and then the last one's Ironcrag Feet, which costs 1 red, 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 and you add 7 red mana. And you can cast only 1 more spell this turn. So one thing that's nice about this is that it gets you from 4 to 7 in a single turn, which is exactly enough to cast Goblin Charbelcher and activate it. Okay, because you prefer to do that so that your opponent can't really mess you up by removing Goblin Charbelcher, right? And then all these lands that we have in our deck do some other interesting things. Akum Warrior is a 6 mana 4/5 with trample. You're basically never going to cast that, but hypothetically could. Bridgeworks Battle, 3 mana, and it's a fight spell, pump spell and fight spell. Kazandu Mammoth, 3 mana 3/3 with landfall, so whenever land enters under your control, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Counter Ambush is a fight spell. Pinnacle Monk is a 2/2 creature with prowess. And you can return an instant sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. You won't have many, but that's fine. Spikefield Hazard. This one actually can come up a little bit more often than others because it only costs a single red mana and it deals 1 damage to any target. If a permanent dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile instead. So this is definitely a decent way to get rid of an opponent's mana creature. So if they play a 1/1 mana dork, then you can just get rid of it, slow them down a little bit. Totally worth it in many cases. Okay, Stump Stomp is a 2 mana fight spell. Sorry, bite spell. So creature you control deals damage equal to its power. Target creature or planeswalker you don't control. And Tangled Florahedron. This one actually can come up a little bit more often too, because this one doubles as ramp. So it costs 2 and it's a 1/1, and it taps to add green. It costs 1 and a green to cast it, and it taps to add green to your mana pool. So this is some backup ramp, which can be nice every once in a while. Vastwood Fortification costs a single green mana, and it's instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, which again won't come up terribly often, but that's okay. It's one thing that's nice about this deck is that you really do actually have some decent backup plans to at least slow your opponent down long enough for you to win with your combo, right? If they do mess up your combo to start with, right? So a bunch of nice little things. One really important difference though with a couple of these, we've got Pinnacle Monk and Bridgeworks Battle that each can come into play untapped if you pay 3 life, while the land can. Okay, land on the back, come into play untapped if you pay 3 life. It's the same thing with Pinnacle Monk. These are the only 2 lands that can come into play untapped. So definitely you'll want to use them wisely. Generally you'll use them on turn 2 so that you can play one of your mana ramp spells. All right, so that's basically it. It's a fairly straightforward deck. If you're interested, you can always go to multiple categories and see what things what options you have. And yes, Goblin Charbelcher can take out planeswalkers or creatures, which you generally won't do, but if your opponent has 100 life, it could be useful if there's a creature that's going to stop you from winning soon. Okay, alrighty, so let's go to the playtester. All right, the funny thing is that since there's no lands in the deck, then you see a hand, you're like, wait, there's no lands. And that's okay. Alrighty, so we will keep this because we have lands. You generally have lands, but you also have a Goblin Charbelcher or Recross the Paths. You kind of need one of those, right? And definitely you can mulligan to get one. One nice thing about this deck with 36 lands and a bunch of ramp is that you can actually mulligan pretty aggressively to get Recross the Paths or Goblin Charbelcher, and you generally will have enough lands. It's very rare for you to not have enough lands to keep at hand. All right, so we will get started. We've got a couple of interesting ones. This is a dual land on the back, so we'll actually play that first. That's just always very nice. It does enter tapped. Okay, but we actually have 2 untapped lands, which is convenient. Okay, so now here I am going to cast Solar Transformer, which means I will want a Pinnacle Monk untapped, and I'm going to pay 3 life to do that. Okay, I'm prioritizing red mana for Ironcrag Feet because it costs triple red, and I already have the green mana for Recross the Paths. Okay, so now I'm going to play Solar Transformer, and I get 3 energy counters. All right, and enters tapped. Okay, so third turn. All right, so I think the best option, kind of depends on your opponent's creatures, but you do actually have Spikefield Hazard, which you could use to get rid of an opponent's creature if necessary. So if it's worth paying 3 life to have a land to come into play untapped, then definitely do that. Otherwise, we're going to assume that little tiny creature doesn't do much. However, if it's a mana creature, then it probably does. So, that could be a very good option. So if you're going to do that, you just play one of these, flipped, and pay 3 life to do that. And then you can tap 3 and play Recross the Paths, stack your deck. Oh, look, there's a Goblin Charbelcher on top. Nice. Okay, so we are going to clash with our opponent. So you want to grab one of your Akum Warriors and put it on top. We're just going to put them into play first as a way to hold on to them, but yeah, they're not actually going into play. So Goblin Charbelcher goes second, and then Akum Warrior goes on top. All right, so then you clash with your opponent. You say, haha, I have a 6 mana spell on top, 6 mana, and I'm going to put that on the bottom now. And then you get to put Recross the Paths back into your hand. All right, but now you can also use Spikefield Hazard on whatever random little mana creature that your opponent has, just to slow them down a little bit. And then next turn, oh wait, we drew a Goblin Charbelcher? That's crazy. Who'd have thought? That's exactly what we needed. Anyways, so now you don't even have to play a land because you can just tap 4, pay an energy to get red out of Solar Transformer, and then play Ironcrag Feet. So now we have 7 mana, and we can cast only one more spell this turn. So we're going to cast Goblin Charbelcher, and then immediately pay 3 and activate it. Okay, and now we could, look through our library, but we already know that there's no lands, so we're just going to deal 50 damage to our opponent. Okay, obviously, in a real game, you would just show your opponent that you have no lands, but that's not necessary here. Okay, so there you go. I just won the game on turn 4. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So that's that. That's honestly felt like a pretty good representation of what this deck can do. Hypothetically, it can go off on turn 3 with like a Pinhead Prism or something on turn 2, or actually any of these on turn 2 if you have enough untapped lands, and then Ironcrag Feet on turn 3 into Goblin Charbelcher and activate it. That's the fastest you can do it, but turn 4 is a pretty reliable one with Recross the Paths and then Ironcrag Feet on turn 4, though turn 5 can work as well if you happen to not get any mana ramp. Oh well, right? But we generally try to get some mana ramp, and we're pretty consistent with that. So turn 3 Goblin Charbelcher, turn 4 activate it is another very common way. So generally speaking, we can win by turn 4. It's pretty fun. Definitely, if you build this deck, please let me know how it goes. And If you like this video, please subscribe. That way YouTube's algorithms and I know that you liked it. And look forward to seeing you in other videos. Until next time, thanks for watching. Ciao.